Whew. Man, it's tiring. Original Pastel de Belém.
Welcome to Lisbon, Portugal, a historic and culturally rich city I had the pleasure of visiting during my recent travels to Southern Europe. Join me in this video as I embark on an epic adventure where we sampled and ate our way through some of the city's most popular culinary cuisines, as well as the top attractions we visited that made this trip an unforgettable experience and one that will be on the top of my list for the rest of my life. Let's get started.
Let's go.
We arrived to Lisbon by air following a 7-day cruise through the Mediterranean that originated in the beautiful city of Barcelona, Spain. Being that this was our first time to the city, we decided to stay in the heart of Augusta Street, located in the Baixa district.
So on Augusta Street, there's some live musicians just playing some classical songs. It's absolutely amazing. Everything very close in terms of vicinity.
Now, as a Chinese American growing up close to my culture and heritage, Pastéis de Nata isn't something new to me, as this famous pastry has inspired very similar morsels in Cantonese Chinese food. So one of my goals for this trip was to sample Pastéis de Nata from multiple establishments and determine which one would take the crown as the #1 spot on my list.
So the spot we're heading to right now is this place called Castro, and it's supposed to be one of the most famous places for Pastéis de Nata. And hopefully it's not too long of a line when we go there, but I'm assuming it should move pretty quick. And it's gonna be interesting for me because I'd actually never had it before. Even when I visited Portugal, I never ate it. But growing up as a kid, we ate the Chinese style, which is influenced by Portuguese, and we call it potan. I hear the flavor's gonna be slightly different, but we'll see. We'll dig right in. Oh, on top of that, we actually ordered 2 cappuccinos, which in my opinion is probably the fanciest cappuccinos I've ever seen in my life. It looks like they drizzled some like mocha on top of it. Proper way to eat this is supposed to drizzle a little bit of cinnamon. Just give it a little bit, yeah, not too much. And it's supposed to enhance the flavor apparently, so we'll see. All right, my very first ever Pastel de Nata from Portugal. Dive right in. That outer layer of crust, so flaky and crispy and chewy. The inside, the custard, it's actually not that flavorful. It's just like a custardy, creamy flavor. But when you add the cinnamon on top of it, it elevates the flavor, gives it a whole new blend of wow in your mouth. Okay, wow, it's good. Growing up as a kid eating the Chinese style potak, we never drizzled cinnamon on it. So doing this, it's like a whole new thing. Like when we go back to the States, if we order the Chinese version, I might have to actually drizzle cinnamon on it moving forward whenever we eat it. That top layer of mocha gives it like a nice little sweet flavor. That's good. If you've ever been to a Din Tai Fung where you see the guys individually wrapping the soup dumplings, earlier they were making the raw pastel de nata, or here before they all went into the oven, and then as they come out of the oven, you have somebody coming in, doing some quality control, making sure it's up to the standard. So it's actually pretty amazing to be able to see it in operation.
The next spot on my list really needs no introduction, as it is considered the birthplace of Pastel de Nata, dating back to the 19th century, and is most often the de facto spot where tourists will visit for Portugal's most famous pastry.
The place is called Pastel de Belém, and it's a giant restaurant, plenty of seating. You can buy outside and order and eat outside, or you can come get table service if you want. And the table service area like encompasses like 3 or 4 different rooms, so it's actually really big. So we're gonna order a few things and try them out. All right, so we ordered 2 pastel de natas per person. Jiggy wanted a single shot of espresso, and I'm doing a double shot. And then with that, we actually ordered some water con gas, or sparkling mineral water. So yeah, let's dig right in. Drizzle some cinnamon and some powdered sugar on it, because that's the way we've learned to eat it, and it tastes so good with it. And without it, it probably wouldn't be the same. First off, like it feels pretty thick of a crust, so we'll see. Way more crispy compared to some of the other places. The custard, it's almost identical, very similar. Obviously when you add the cinnamon, the powdered sugar, flavor is very similar, but the crust, a little bit more crispy, but the thickness is very similar to what we had over at Castro's, so it's good. I would say firsthand, even though it's the original, I would say it's not my most favorite personally, for me, right? But I think it's just a little too crispy for me. I think I've had about like maybe 10 plus pastel de natas on this 4-day trip to Portugal. There we go, original pastel de Belém. Espresso with sugar is actually pretty good. I guess considering the operation, that's like expected to see so many pastel de natas laid out like that.
This last spot on my list in our quest for the best was located just a few short steps away from our place of stay in Rua Augusta called Fabrica Da Nata. This establishment was not only a great place for the popular pastry but also served up a variety of other baked goods, and we decided to order a savory ham and egg quiche along with a few beverages to start our morning.
The custard on this one is a lot more sweet. Not overly sweet, but it's good. It's like mild overall still, right? The outer crust, or that shell, that casing, it's a little bit more flaky, so it kind of falls apart a little bit. And it's not quite as chewy over at Castro's, but they're both really good. All right, so my little one already bit into this quiche, but it looks very savory and it's much more bulky compared to that pastel de nata. But yeah, I like savory quiches. That's like big chunks of ham. That egg is very creamy. The crust, very similar to that pastel de nata as well. Look at that. You got all that ham.
We can buy more.
Oh, good. So that was really good. This place is actually pretty amazing. You have an option to dine inside downstairs where they have standing tables, which is where all the pastries are. Or you can come upstairs to the tea room. If you dine inside, whether it's upstairs or downstairs, you order at the counter, and then they have the outdoor seating, which on a nice breezy day like today, is actually probably a great place to actually sit and experience this food, right? But the tables were actually quite crowded, and they do have servers going there to help you if you choose to eat there. So come check it out, Fabrica Da Nata.
Being in Lisbon for 4 days, we certainly sampled a hefty amount of pastel de natas from multiple locations during our stay. For me personally, the trophy as the #1 spot on my list for the best pastel de natas goes to Castro's first, Fabrica Da Nata second, and the original pastel de Belém third. Leave a comment below on which establishment is the #1 spot for you in Lisbon. For those looking to soak in many of the spectacular viewpoints offering panoramic views of the city, the Miradouro Da Graca is a place you should add to your list when visiting. Now, getting here can certainly be an adventure depending on your travel party size and age. For us, we decided to challenge ourselves by first taking the subway from the heart of the city to get to one of the base stops of the famous tram 28, which then took us up on an adventurous ride up the steep hills.
Whew. Man, it's tiring. Something we expected coming to Portugal, but not when you actually do it yourself is a whole nother story. All right, so we just made our way about 15-20 minutes by tram. It kind of reminds me of a European-style San Francisco city. There's a bridge that looks very similar to the Golden Gate Bridge. Somewhat of a cloudy day today, but hopefully the clouds clear up, but it's very beautiful.
Although the weather wasn't the most bright and sunny, we made the most of our visit to this viewpoint and purchased some refreshments to relax while we soaked in the lovely views.
All right, when we first got here, it was pretty peaceful actually, but then a whole big tour group came.
Located about a 5-minute walk from Miradouro Da Graca is one of Lisbon's most historic and oldest districts known as Alfama, with its unique character and signature steep hills offering beautiful views of the city and seaside. One of the most popular viewpoints frequented is Miradouro de Santa Luzia.
There's a lot of people here just coming to get pictures of the seaside view, and yeah, it's actually quite lovely. It's a beautiful day right now. The weather actually cleared up. Earlier today it was actually very cloudy with rain or a little bit of drizzle, so it's cleared up quite a bit. Very picturesque. Certain aspects of it, I've never been to Santorini, Greece, but in looking at pictures, it kind of reminds me of it. Definitely worth coming to check out if you're going to be visiting Lisbon. It's quite easy to get up here. Like I said, you could take the tram or the bus, or you can walk if you have the athleticism. But keep in mind, there's a lot of stairs and steep hills.
The building streets in Alfama are lined with plentiful shops, restaurants, and cafes, and easily a place where one can spend a good part of their day wandering and exploring. Some of the most delicious food and best dining experiences we enjoyed during our stay in Lisbon were at restaurants located in Alfama. To learn more about my top restaurant dining experiences that we enjoyed here in Lisbon, please be sure to check out my Best Food in Lisbon video or click the video link above.
Check out some of the cool artwork here. This is right in front of the elevator de Santa Justa? Santa Justa? Yeah, so it's like one of the oldest elevators, I guess, like built in 1902. So there's a lot of people queued up to go up of it. So we're just gonna admire it from a distance. So. Hello from Lisbon, Portugal. So it's that time of day again where we're about ready for our second dose of caffeine, but instead of coffee, we're gonna get something called Ginjinha, which is cherry liquor. It's supposed to be very popular over here. There's a pretty famous spot that's called Ginjinha Sem Rival, which translates, to my understanding, to unrivaled Ginjinha. So it's got to be pretty good.
Since 1890 here.
And do Portuguese drink it as just like
This is more typical in this. It's homemade. Sugar, and you wait 6 months for the maceration.
Okay. Does it have caffeine in it or
No,
okay.
no.
Okay, just alcohol.
I heard some people say like treat like a medicine kind of.
Yeah, it starts with the medicine.
Okay.
What helped them?
I don't know.
So the establishment that we're standing out in front of is called Ginjinha Sem Rival, and the gentleman who's, I guess maybe he's a shop owner, he says that this is just a pastime drink. People drink it throughout the day, and it's not meant to be shot, it's meant to be sipped. There's no caffeine or anything. It's just got alcohol in it. So, but we took a little sip of it so it wouldn't spill from the inside, and it tastes a little bit like medicine and a brandy shot. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's actually pretty good. There's a cherry at the bottom of it, so when you finish drinking it, you're supposed to eat the cherry. Like,
I like it.
what, 2 of them cost €3. €3 and 10 cents. Yeah, sweet, definitely sweet. Alright guys, so we're inside this establishment that specializes in cured meats and cheeses, and they have a variety of wines. The establishment has been operating for under 34 years from what I've been told, and it's called Manteigaria Silva. And we're just here taking a break, have a platter and some red wine to enjoy our day. The platter that we ordered is called the mista. It's first on the menu, and I guess mista stands for mix because there's a mix of meats and cheeses. And in the center here is a caramelized onion spread that you can put onto the toasted bread that you can eat and pair with the meat. And then we obviously ordered some 2 red wines that they recommended to pair with this as well. So yeah. That cheese? What is that? So good.
I don't know.
Like creamy. It's a little bit sharp, a little bit mildly sharp. Wow, and then I guess you can probably eat that flour too, right? I'll try one of these, yeah.
You want to say something?
Wow, I'm not sure which one I like better. They're both really good. I think I like this one better. So we're gonna do this proper. We're gonna grab one of those hard pieces of biscuits or bread and spread some of that caramelized onion spread on it. Add some cheese and maybe a piece of prosciutto on top of that, right? That caramelized onion spread really enhances the flavor. It's like almost like a cross of onion flavor and fig spread, like an apricot spread. It's like sweet, tangy, but oniony as well. Let's just go for one of these prosciuttos by itself here. You can see all that natural oil and grease. So it's so thinly sliced. I was watching a lady use the thin slicer machine. Just go boom, boom. And yeah, it comes out super thin and dangling. I had to put it in my mouth before it like breaks apart. Wow, tasty.
Yeah, baby.
Wow, that's good.
For coffee lovers visiting Lisbon, there are certainly a variety of shops scattered throughout the city on every street, alley, and corner to satisfy your love of the bean and need for caffeine. 2 places we enjoyed the most and found ourselves visiting on multiple occasions for specialty coffees was a shop called The Coffee and another popular spot called Copenhagen Coffee Lab. We found that the flavor in the espresso-based drinks here stood out from the other places we tried, and the drinks were perfectly balanced and fantastic for our palates. Now for those looking to get a quick and cheap yet very fulfilling bite, then a Bifana is just one of many fantastic sandwiches you can find in Lisbon. It is a very simple snack consisting of slow-cooked pork that is infused in a pot filled with various spices in a delicious garlic-flavored broth. The meat is sandwiched in between a bread roll, and you can choose to add some additional condiments onto it, such as yellow mustard, which in my opinion is a must-add to enhance the eating experience. Now, there are multiple reviewer picks you can find in Lisbon, but given that it was our first time trying this beloved snack, we decided to go with one of the more popular spots amongst tourists called Bifana do Afonso, located just a few short steps from our place of stay. Now, for you history lovers out there who can appreciate the magnificent sights of breathtaking monuments and structures, then Belem Tower, located about 40 minutes away from the heart of the city by tram, is a place you should consider visiting on your trip to Lisbon. Constructed during the 16th century, Belem Tower is situated along the Tagus River and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is iconic to Portugal, symbolizing its strength as a colonial power in early modern Europe.
I will say, out of all the countries we visited on this trip, Portugal has the nicest weather, coolest and breeziest during the summer peak time here. So it's June right now, and yeah, it's quite comfortable.
Also situated on the northern bank of the Tagus River, located just a few short steps from Belem Tower, is the Monument to Discoveries, an amazing structure with very fine details built in 1940 to commemorate the age of discoveries in Portugal. The sheer size of the structure is one that can be appreciated both from a distance and up close and personal.
So right in front of this monument behind me, they have a world map that shows the timeline of all the areas within the world that Portugal conquered during the 1500s. It's pretty amazing, like how powerful that empire was. But yeah, it's pretty cool. If you come over here, you definitely need to check out that map. If you're a history lover as well, it's actually really cool.
If you appreciate bustling markets offering some of the best foods in Lisbon all under one roof, then making a stop to Time Out Market is a great venue to experience. Although we personally came to Time Out Market on a relatively full stomach, strolling around and admiring the various food vendors situated along the edges of the market was a great experience. The venue was very lively, and we did manage to make some space in our tummies for some scrumptious bites.
And we're just here for the dessert. I know there's a lot more options that you can eat from here, but we're pretty full, but we just need something sweet. And we ordered a very fluffy looking tiramisu with a top layer full of like cocoa powder. It just looks, I don't even want to touch it. It looks so pretty, but we gotta eat it. So. It's cold, huh? Like a perfect blend of the bread, the cream, and then the cocoa powder, like evenly spread out. Good. All right, so we just finished that tiramisu, and we're on a sweet tooth hunt. And there's a little shop over here called Recordação de Sintra. At least that's the way the gentleman told me how you pronounce it. And they have a variety of pastries, but the one that we were actually eyeing is a dessert called travesseira. And what it translates to is a pillow. And it's just a flaky pastry. Inside it's cream cheese with bits of almond. So it looks really good, and it's like supposedly one of the best kept secrets here in Lisbon. Initially I thought it was going to be really dry, but when you bite into it more, the cream is actually quite moist. So it's a nice little blend of flavor. Not overly sweet. You can taste the almond flavor and the cream cheese, and the pastry itself, a little bit flaky. Look at all that. Yeah, good. All right, so I know we said we're not hungry, but we're here, and we're going to make the most of the opportunity to come. We're only in Lisbon for a short amount of time. So instead of sweet, now we're going to, actually Jiki wanted to try some raw oysters, so I'm going to appease her request, and we went to this place called Montemar. Apparently it's a very famous restaurant on the way to Cascais, but they have a little shop here set up in the Time Out Market. So we picked up 4 raw oysters. They're meaty, very meaty, and they only give you 1 lemon, no salsa or anything like that. So I think that's the way you're supposed to eat it, so let's go for it. They shucked it very well, and you can see this thing is very meaty. Wow. That lime juice or lemon juice and the vinegar makes it a little bit too tart. But the oyster itself, chewable, doesn't just slide right in. Very meaty, very fresh, so you don't taste any like weird spoiled flavor. Came probably straight from the ocean for all I know, but that's really good. All right, so Time Out Market. I wish we had a bigger appetite, but you know, it's just to kind of get a feel for what it's like. If you come here hungry, there's definitely a lot of food options to choose from. Some folks just came here for wine and alcohol. They're just chilling, people watching, and seems like a great place to kind of just kill some time.
We traveled to Lisbon in the summer during prime Sardinas season, where we were able to indulge in as much fresh sardines as our stomachs allowed. In addition to fresh sardines, canned sardines, also known as conservas, have become quite popular as well, offering a different yet equally satisfying dining experience for those who can appreciate eating these small yet nutrient-packed morsels.
Alright, so we are at Sol y Pesca, and it's on this street called the Pink Street, which I guess is very famous for the colorful umbrellas. People come here for that. There's a lot of tourists here, including ourselves, obviously. But we are here for the Sardinas. Sol y Pesca is apparently very popular for the Sardinas, and we hope to not be disappointed, and we're just waiting for the food. Alright, so we're going for this first of the two sardinas that we tried, and it's more like a mashed up sardine in a red tomato sauce, and they give you some different breads that you can spread it on. So this one looks pretty overwhelming with flavor. There's some green chives, some red sauce. I believe it's a little bit spicy. That flavor of fish is like actually quite subtle, not overpowering at all. It's not spicy in any way. It's just like a tomato sauce based sardine. Good. So now we're going in for this just traditional whole sardina in an olive sauce. It's non-spicy, and they garnish it with some minced chives, so it's very simple. Now these are canned sardines, so apparently the bones you can just chew right through. But if it's the fresh sardines coming in from the ocean daily during sardine season, it's a whole nother story. Mild, very simple flavor. You don't taste any of the bones. Even if you do, you just bite right through it. Good. Personally, I like this one better. It's just a lot more flavorful. The tomato-based sauce is actually personally my preference. Good.
If you enjoy tinned sardines in Portugal and fancy bringing some home to share with family and friends, make sure you pick up some of these popular goodies before you end your trip. They can be found in just about any market where you're staying, such as Pingo Doce supermarket, or if you're looking for more of a kid at a candy shop experience, then the fantastic world of Portuguese sardines is a place you should definitely check out.
Typically growing up, I was never a huge fan of sardina until I came to Portugal and tried the sardines here. They're definitely worth buying as souvenirs or something just to eat yourself. Definitely worth checking out. Pick up a few for your family and your friends, and keep some for yourself as well.
Having traveled to Porto many years ago and now the city of Lisbon, the country of Portugal is absolutely beautiful to me, as it is vibrant with culture and deeply embedded in every square inch of the city wherever you go. It offers some of the best food I've ever had in my life, and I wrapped up this trip here in Europe leaving very fulfilled, but longing to come back to Lisbon someday to experience more that this wonderful city and country has to offer, as 4 days was simply not enough. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment on this video to continue following me on my food and travel adventures. I thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.